What's going on, Washington fans? And I don't know how to feel. Y'all that know me know how I feel about Jahan Dotson. But former first round pick from Ron Rivera's staff has been traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I remember reading this. I was like, there is no way that we just traded Jahan Dotson, let alone to the Eagles. So we're going to talk about the move, what it could mean, how in shock I still am like hours later. Like, man, this shit hurts, man. I love Jahan, being a guy that covered Penn State. Just a stand-up professional guy, was always good to me. Like when I talked to him, just a good dude, man. I mean, I have that Penn State helmet over there behind me signed by Jahan Dotson. And this is why you don't get like professional jerseys and stuff until after, like 3 or 4 years when you see they broke out, except for Jaden. Like you can get Jaden. I got Jaden's jersey. Like, of course I'm getting Jaden's jersey. But I got some Jahan Dotson stuff, and man, it sucks. But it's just, this really took me by surprise. And like I said, we're going to chop it up for a while. I plan on being live for a little while tonight, talking about it and some other moves. And I got some other videos. I got a really good wide receiver video coming up. I was doing some stuff throughout the day, planning for it. Just, guys, and I'll talk about it someone here too. Guys that I think Washington could add to this wide receiver room. Of course, we're going to talk about Brandon Aiyuk. What's going on, Jaden? He says, what's AP cooking? I mean, man, it seems like if you were here like in the past, you are on like watch. Like nobody is safe. Like it would not surprise me if Forbes got traded, if Jamin Davis got traded. If you talk about cuts, the roster cut down is next Tuesday on the 27th. That is a very important date to watch. And you say, why? Because a lot of good players are going to get cut. A lot of players that maybe need a change of scenery, just like Jahan Dotson does. And we are second on the waiver wire for every position. Like it does not matter. Like if someone gets released, we are second in the waiver wire. So if I forgot who's first, it's gotta be the Panthers. If the Panthers don't want it, then boom, like we're next up. We have like our pick and choosing of some guys that we want. And I think that's absolutely the case. And we make a trade for York today with the Browns to get a kicker. Maybe they're not done with kicker either. My boy Kenny says Brandon Aiyuk inbound. So Brandon Aiyuk, from what it sounds like, they offered him $30 million a year, and he still has not been at the facility for the last few days, according to the all know on Twitter, Ricky. If you follow Ricky, the insider, the dog profile picture, shout out to Ricky for always being correct. But it sounds like they are at a standstill. There's a lot to unpack with the Browns and how he really didn't want to go there. And then same with the Patriots. He said no because he didn't like the quarterbacks. But we know how he feels about Jaden Daniels. Jaden is his boy. In my heart, I think he would do anything to play with Jaden Daniels. And you have to talk about the trade compensation that we got for Jahan Dotson and how that can really influence stuff. So we got a 5th round pick. We traded Jahan in a 5th to the Eagles. In exchange for a 3rd round pick and 2 7th round picks. The 3rd was theirs. And so they had 2 thirds. They had theirs and Miami's, and the pick that we got was the better of the 2 thirds that they had. But then we got the last 2 of the 7th. So they have 4 7th round picks for whatever reason. Howie's going to Howie and trade all these picks around. Howie does not care about picks. But we did get a good 3rd round pick. So like that 3rd round, and if you check like the NFL trade calculator and stuff, it says that we actually won the trade. It says that we won the trade. And I think it's because, one, the NFL was not as high on Jahan Dotson as I was, for sure. But I think a lot of other people. But then also that 3rd round pick is super valuable. Anytime you can get a top 100 pick, even a top 90 pick, that holds a lot of weight. So I know we give up our only 5th round pick. Not really worried about that, to be honest with you. Cool, we got 2 7ths, but that 3rd round pick, what can that be used for? Can that be added to the Brandon Aiyuk trade scenario where it's like, okay, Washington did not like what the trade offer was before, but it's been a while. There's been a lot that's happened with the whole Brandon Aiyuk contract situation. They've thrown numbers, they've met many times, and it still has not been completed yet on San Francisco's side. And I know there were some trade offers from the Steelers and stuff. When it comes down to it, and I know this in my heart, if Brandon Aiyuk had to choose between us and the Steelers, it's going to be us. There's not a single quarterback in the NFL he would rather catch passes from than his boy Jaden Daniels. If you have the opportunity to play your career and get paid a lot of money with your best friend, a guy that you've caught passes from, a guy that you know you would produce with, it would be Brandon Aiyuk coming to Washington. And it just makes way too much sense. Will it happen? I don't know. It takes a lot for those kind of trades to happen. Now, I didn't think that Jahan Dotson would get traded either, and it happened. Is Brandon Aiyuk getting bound? I really hope so. I don't see a way that they aren't revisiting or at least considering it and saying like, hey, whether it's 2/3, whether it's a second and a third, whatever it is, if you didn't like Jahan Dotson that much, then and you get a third for him, then you shouldn't really be too worried about like, oh, we don't want to give up that third. Like, fuck that third round pick if you're going to get Brandon Aiyuk. Who cares? If you didn't like Jahan Dotson, if you didn't want him here, if you didn't think he was good enough to contribute, and you trade a 5th round pick and you get 2 7ths and a third, then who cares about that third? Like, unless you're just praying to God that that person hits in the draft, which I think this regime is actually going to draft the way they should, unlike, how it's been in the past. I love this draft class that we just had, but I don't see them just like holding on to that 3rd round pick. Like, and I don't see them treating this as like a wash year to where it's just like, okay, we know we're not going to compete, but we do have a rookie quarterback. Like, Terry's getting older. John Allen's getting older. Deron Payne's getting older. You're not going to be able to keep this regime around together if you're thinking 3-4 years ahead. And teams just don't think that way. Dan Quinn doesn't think that way. Adam Peters doesn't think that way. I do get and I do understand how they want to build for a long-term success. And sometimes you have to make these kind of moves to do that. You have to kind of take away from this year, maybe just a little bit, to make the future a little bit better. But in no means do I think that they're done just saying like, okay, we're going to roll with this year. We feel good about Diami. We feel good about Luke and Alameda Zacchaeus. Let's ride. I don't see that, man. Let me know what y'all think. I don't see a way where they just look at this wide receiver group and they're just like, yeah, let's ride. Week 1, we're ready. Like, we're ready for the Bucks. We're ready to play the Eagles twice a year. The Cowboys twice a year. We got a favorable schedule, but there's no way that they're just like, we're good with what we got right now. I don't see this being the end all of the moves. And Adam Peters has shown that he's willing to make the moves. He's willing to trade a 7th for, a kicker that could end up being the starting kicker throughout the season. They're willing to trade for a guy that it just wasn't going to work out, in Jahan Dotson, a former 1st round pick, pick 16? It's not like he was pick 32. He's in that like middle half of the draft. That first half of the draft there, to where it's just like he's not afraid to make those moves, and I respect him for it. As much as I hate the move, I respect him enough. And I kind of want to talk about this Jahan situation because it's a little weird, but I want to get to these comments too. Unfortunately, no hot trade before the live like I thought. Nope. Still waiting on some wide receiver news and stuff like that. And I'm checking my phone religiously. Don't worry, y'all. If something happens, I will tell y'all. How does Jahan feels thought? Wasn't he complaining about the staff? I never once heard him complain about the staff. As a matter of fact, like 2 months ago at the draft party, he was like, man, it feels like I got traded. And now he did. But he just said like it feels like such a new energy. He loves the staff. He loves the front office. He just said it feels like such a new team. And that's what's so confusing is this team was pushing Jahan Dotson out. Like, it was not long ago that Jahan Dotson was like, not the face, but he was one of the guys that like, hey, we have high hopes for this guy. So what the hell happened in the last month, even 2 months? Even Cliff was talking about him like at the beginning of camp, like, oh man, I love this guy. He comes in with a great attitude. He's always willing to compete. He always wants to get better. Blah, blah, blah. What the hell happened in that short time period? Like, from like, and I don't know Jahan Dotson like personally, but from what I've seen from him and you know, talking to him before and just the people that know Jahan Dotson, this is a guy of like the highest character, like the most stand up, nicest fucking dude you will ever meet. I don't see it like I don't see it possible that Jahan comes into a much better situation this year than he has the last 2 years, and he just has a bad attitude about it. Like, you really think Martavius Bryant coming in is the reason why he was throwing a fit at practice or whatever people are saying? I just don't see that. Like, in my head, I just don't see like why. That makes no sense at all. I don't see that. Shout out to Merle, member of the channel. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and become a member today so you can stay up to date on all the content I'm dropping here on the channel for y'all. Merle says Dotson hasn't been good as Garrett, Wilson, or Olave, period. Those guys didn't have good quarterbacks either. Still got 1,000 yards. And I get that. And Wilson and Olave are like alpha dogs. Like, those are like guys who can be wide receiver ones. I don't think we ever saw Jahan as a wide receiver one, just a guy that could be a high-end wide receiver two. Now, obviously, looking back at it, Chris Olave should have been the pick, and you can say that about almost every single one of Ron Rivera's picks except for Brian Robinson and Sam Cosmi. But outside of that, every single other pick could have been somebody else, and we had been, you know, happy about it. But I think this does give Jahan an opportunity to do, you know, great things in Philly. I mean, he's in a loaded wide receiver room. He's in a favorable offense. He's back with his boy Saquon. Like, I'm happy for him that he's going there. I hate it for us. And I just hope this doesn't come back to, you know, bite us in the ass. But I would have loved Chris Olave. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think Jahan Dotson is like bad at football. I don't see how he just became bad at football all of a sudden and you discovered this in training camp. There had to be something else there. Either he didn't want to be here or he just wasn't fitting what they wanted in the offense, which I don't even see that. Because like with Cliff, he wants these quick passes. He wants these screens to the outside. He wants to open up the deep ball. That's Jahan's game. I don't care if he can't, you know, handle press. I don't care if he can't handle like physical, like route running and stuff like that. He wouldn't have to do that in Cliff's offense. So I'm really confused about that as well. And I don't know. Like, I honestly have no idea. Because I don't see him having a bad attitude. I don't see him not being a fit. I'm confused. Like, I don't understand. Let's see. What else we got here? Yo, my brother, maybe our new 3rd and 6 put us in the mix for a wide receiver. Just saying, and you're right. And people are talking about Aiyuk. Obviously, that would be the dream. There's a couple other wide receivers I kind of mentioned, you know, at the beginning of the live that I have an eye on. And another one I keep going back to. Obviously, Devontae Adams would be the dream. I don't see him wanting to stay in Vegas. I mean, if you watched Receiver on Netflix, that boy was fighting for his life all season long. And now Gardner Minshew is his starting quarterback for the whole year. And I just don't see a way that he would want to be there. So I'm calling Vegas and I'm trading whatever it takes to get Devontae Adams. But if that doesn't work out, I'm looking at Denver. Cortland Sutton has been a name that has come up so many times. And I think Sutton is a beast. I think he is so underrated. I mean, there's even catches he was making last year with Russ at quarterback that I was like, yo, Cortland is a stud. We got to get him out of Denver. Now, I know they have Bo Nix as starting quarterback, and they feel really good about that. So would they want to move Cortland Sutton? I don't know. I don't think they would want to. But it's a name that's come up over and over and over again. So there's a couple different trade scenarios out there, and I have a list of guys on the waiver wire. Like I said, I'm going to do a wide receiver video. Hell, I might even do it tomorrow. Who knows? Or like Saturday before I start scouting some college football games. But there's a list of guys that could get cut. Like I said, guys that might need a new change of scenery that still have some talent that could be good pickups for us. But I'm not ruling out like a guy like Cortland Sutton. Why not? It's great to hear and it's great to see that De'Ami Brown has been having a really good camp, that he's looked good in preseason. You can tell him and Jaden Daniels have a good connection. But are you comfortable with him being your premier outside wide receiver opposite of Terry McLaurin? In my opinion, no. And it would be great. Luke McCaffrey is a guy who slowly but surely, this last week he's had his best weeks at practice. The last game was his best game so far. Like, there's still much more to see out of Luke McCaffrey. But are you just riding on that? Are you just waiting till maybe the end of the season when the trade deadline is? Maybe you're waiting till the off season. I hate to tell it to y'all guys, but CeeDee Lamb's not an option. CeeDee Lamb is not leaving Dallas. And if he is, they are sure as hell. Jerry would die on the spot if him or anyone else in that building even entertained a trade for CeeDee Lamb to come to Washington. He would literally fire everyone, including his son, if that was even brought up in a conversation. T. Higgins is a guy who, demanded a trade. Would he want to come here? I don't know. I don't see that. Like, he would probably want to go to like the Chiefs or hell, even like the Chargers or somewhere where he knows he has a quarterback and maybe more of a wide receiver need, like with an established team, an established like coach like Harbaugh, or like I said, with the Chiefs, the Ravens, who knows? Like, I just feel like there's so many more teams that he would want to go to than us. And once again, the Bengals haven't had no interest in trading T. Higgins. And I don't blame him. Once again, another young stud. I'm down to those three guys to be like the big splash guys. And in my opinion, Courtland Sutton would be a big splash. People are going to say, oh, it's not as big as Brandon Aiyuk. In my opinion, it's nice. Like, Brandon Aiyuk is like a cannonball of a big splash. And Devontae Adams is another big splash. But I think Courtland Sutton is right under that. Like, I think he's right there with them. I would love to see him come here. And there's a lot of waiver wire guys that could be cut on Tuesday that I have circled. I'm like, yo, people talking about like Treylon Burks. People talking about, Terrence Marshall on the Panthers. People talking about like Juju. He's been hurt a lot from what I've heard. Like, I don't even know if they would even kick the tires on Juju. I don't want an older vet. Unless he's like really good, obviously, like Devontae Adams. But I just don't want to be like, some guys, washed up like Juju or something like that. That doesn't excite me. Sky Moore is a name that's come up that could be cut on Tuesday just because of all the moves they've made at wide receiver. They just don't really see it working out. Is Sky Moore a guy that you kick the tires on? Who knows? B. Mitch said at practice he's walking around, head down, bad body language. And that's what's wild to me. Like, I would never have guessed Jahan being that guy. And I hope that's not true. But like, if so, why? Is it like, was he like disappointed in himself? And he came out and said, like, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not as good as I want to be yet. Shout out to Ghost. Got to get some energy in me. But he came out and said it. Like, I'm just striving to get better every day. Like, I'm not happy with where I am. So I'm hoping that's more of like himself. Just like, man, I'm kind of disappointed in like how I've been practicing. I'm kind of disappointed in the preseason games. Not like, yo, screw this coaching staff. I'm pissed. I don't want to be here kind of thing. Like, that to me is like as far as who Jahan Dotson is. Like, as far away as possible as who Jahan actually is. Like, that would shock me if that's how he actually was and why he was that way. What's going on, Jay Dubs? Welcome to the stream, man. Jaden says, do you think he goes for a corner for that pick? I don't even know like what corner he would trade for. Like, another couple guys that are like on the, release block is what I'll call it. Like James Bradbury is a name that's come up that's kind of fallen down the depth chart for the Eagles. But like, who else would they trade corner wise? And if y'all want to talk about coach talk and how they were talking about, oh, we need a second wide receiver. We need a wide receiver too. Like, we need somebody to step up. They've been talking good about the corners. They've been saying nothing but good stuff about the corners. So like maybe they're happy with the secondary we got. Me, I'm still concerned. I'm still very concerned. But from what it sounds like, they're happy with how the secondary looks. And Coach Witt came out today. I was like, it's on me to make sure these guys are ready, and make sure these guys are making the right moves and the right plays. And I don't know. In my opinion, like we still have such a need at some of the biggest, most important positions in football, like wide receiver, but still like a glaring need. Offensive line, more specifically like tackle. Maybe Brandon Coleman's going to be that guy at left tackle. I hope so. I think he could be. But like Wiley has been terrible so far again. Like 2 penalties and 2 drives in the preseason game. He's right back where he was last year. Once again, another guy that was here already when the new regime took over. He's not safe either. It's just like, man, corner, wide receiver, tackle is like 3. Like we got our quarterback, but those 3 are, not good to have weak links at. Like, man, I would have loved for it to be like center or like another linebacker or something. Like, I want to say long snapper, but we've seen what that looks like. And hell, even that sucks not having a long snapper. So it just, I don't know. I know we are not done yet. 1,000,000% sure we are not done yet. Whether it's picking up multiple people on the waiver wire or making more trades. I mean, hell, we made 2 trades today on a random ass Thursday, the day that they had practice. So nothing's off the table. This team was the most turnover team, like roster-wise, in the entire NFL this last offseason. We have more new people than any other team in the NFL. We have more newer starters than any other team in the NFL. We have more players that were starters on our team last year that are not even on a team right now than any other team in the NFL. Like, that's crazy. And I told y'all when free agency started, I said, buckle up, get ready for a completely new look team. Everyone's like, oh, Josh, what? Oh, chill out, Josh. It's not going to be that dramatic. These things take time. You can't just fix a team in a year. And I know that. But this just goes to show you this regime does not give a damn about who you are and what you've done. Who drafted you where. None of that matters. You have got to show up and you have to fit what they want to do here. And, of course, Ian Rappaport's just talking about our moves. And that's another thing, too. Like, I feel like the media likes us now. I feel like the media enjoys talking about us finally. Let's see. J-Dub says, I liked Dotson. Watched him ball at Penn State, too. Hate that we continue to trade with the Eagles. We got worse today unless there is a corresponding move. There has to be a corresponding move. I love draft picks. Y'all know I love draft picks. Y'all know I love the draft. The draft is is my safe haven. The NFL draft is what brings me joy. So I love anytime we can get picks. But I see this regime just using that towards something that they really want. Somebody that they want to handpick, somebody that really wants to fit what they want to do. And with Aiyuk, it just makes too much sense. And we have shown interest. It'd be completely different if it was confirmed, oh, Washington hasn't checked in on him yet. Adam Peters has checked in. Adam Peters knows Brandon Aiyuk more than anybody in that building besides Jaden Daniels. So he knows what to expect, and he knows how to work with the 49ers, y'all. It makes too much sense. I would be shocked. And if we don't, they would be like, hey, we want Terry McLaurin and we want a third. We want Terry and a third. Then at that point, I'm like, okay, I get it. But if it's like, hey, we want a second and a third next year, or maybe a second next year and a third the year after that, I'm like, I don't understand not doing that. And I know Brandon Aiyuk is a little bit older than you'd like him to be. He's 26-ish, 27, something like that, 20. He might even be 25, I don't know. But when you're talking about a 3-year, 4-year contract, $30 million a year, that is a lot. And I get it. And you can draft really good wide receivers. I'm excited to look at this wide receiver draft class. I'm all in on it already. There's a couple guys. I don't think this wide receiver draft class is as good as it has been the last few years. You got, McMillan. You got Luther Burden. There's some guys at the top. Evan Stewart could be a big name. Travis Hunter, depending on, which position he really wants to move forward with. There's Harris at Ole Miss. He's a beast too. Trey Harris. There's 4 guys as of right now that I would probably take in the first round. Only 1 that I would take top 10, and it would probably be Luther Burden. So outside of that, I just don't want to have to look, ahead to the draft and okay, this is where we're going to get our guy. Make the move right now. There's no guarantees in the draft, as we've learned. Even if you do draft good, you just never know how guys are going to turn out. So get the guy that has already proven it at the highest level. He's already done it in the NFL. He's one of the best against man. He's one of the best against zone. He's a great route runner. He can make fantastic catch. He has great athletic ability. He runs great routes. He was the receiving guy on that team. Him and Kittle. I know Debo was doing all these kind of things. He's doing motion out of the backfield. He's doing running back stuff. He's doing these short catches and making them big plays and stuff like that. But their bread and butter in the receiving game was Brandon Aiyuk. They don't want to lose him, and I don't blame them. If Debo gets hurt, he's been hurt a lot, and Kittle's been getting hurt. You're looking at Juwan Jennings and some other guys. Hopefully Ricky Pearsall can get healthy, but I don't think the 49ers want to get rid of him, so it probably is going to take a lot. It is going to take a lot. Let's see. Yeah, Is Lights Out said, I don't think you trade Jahan unless you got a plan. Merle says Cortland Sutton fits what Cliff wants in his offense. Traylon Burks also. I would hate Traylon Burks, but Cortland Sutton would absolutely be a beast. Doorgunner says almost all of Rivera's picks are gone already. Says a lot. And this man had the nerve to say, send me my Super Bowl ring. If we go far in the next few years because of the team that he built. Ron, no, we need to send you an invoice. We're not sending you any jewelry. We're sending you an invoice for all the picks that you wasted, all the money that you wasted. This man said, send me my ring. No, Ron, we're going to send you an invoice because you owe us. We could have had Gonzalez. We could have had Chris Olave. We could have had Darisaw. Bro, those 3 alone would fix every need that we have right now. Those 3 picks alone would have us as a playoff team this year. Having Gonzo, having Olave, and having Darisaw is one of the best tackles in the league now would, oh my God, it pisses me off just thinking about it. Every issue this team has would have been resolved with those 3 guys. We would have a franchise left tackle in Darisaw who just got paid a shit ton of money that we could have paid him. Gonzalez, even though he was hurt last year, looked really freaking good. And in my opinion, I think he's a little bit more of a zone guy, but I still think he can play some really good man coverage. But for Dan Quinn and Coach Witt, I think they would have loved Gonzo. I loved his size, his length. Body shape-wise, he fits exactly what they love. Like I said, style-wise, maybe he's a little bit better in zone, but still, he can play some man. And then Chris Olave, a guy who produces on a terrible Saints offense. Guy has over 2,000 something yards already. Come on, man. Great hands, great speed. He can catch everything. The dude scores. We would not have. I don't even know what our biggest need would be if we had those 3 guys. I can't think of any. If we had Terry, Olave, and Diami, I'd be cool at wide receiver. I'm okay, we are good. We're set. We got Terry and Chris Olave. If we had Darisaw, I'm okay. Brandon Coleman at right tackle, whatever. Offensive line, I'm good. I feel good. And then Gonzalez. Maybe we still need help at corner, but damn. If we had Gonzalez, St. Juice, the same still, I'm okay. Let's see what these guys can do. But Lord and behold, we got Jamin Davis trying to make the team at DN. We got Forbes fighting for his life. Jahan's gone. Sam's gone. He was in the trade. All we got left is Brian Robinson. Cole still hanging on. That's it. So, I mean, damn, that's really depressing to think that we could have had those three, like, Pro Bowl caliber, all pro guys. Like, man, all we got left is Cole, B-Rob. That's it. And I don't even know if Cole makes the team. So by the end of this, we might have had running back one and some extra picks that we got from this trade. Was it worth? We traded a 16th overall pick for a third and 2 7s. I'm not saying like Jahan. I'm just saying when you're talking about big picture, what we traded, what Ron Rivera did, we traded our 16th overall pick for a third and 2 7s. That is really depressing. Like we could have just had Olave. I guarantee you we wouldn't have traded him. He would still be here. Man. Coach Lombard says I shit on Dotson for 2 weeks and I'm an Eagles fan. And I'm not stoked about him being our wide receiver 3. You should be, man. Put him in the slot, Smitty out wide, Slim Reaper, A.J. Brown opposite side, and you're going to see the quick passing game of the Eagles is going to be good. It's going to be good. Like as a wide receiver 3, like for y'all, that's as good as it gets. Before y'all had like Olamide Zaccheaus, who's here now, Rager, like much upgraded. This is the best wide receiver room the Eagles have had in a long time. Just watch. I have AJ Brown on my fantasy team. I have Saquon on my fantasy team, and I got Jahan Dotson with one of my last picks. And I think the value on him went up with this trade. Somehow, some way, his value went up. J-Dub said, I really hope that they have a plan for this season, and it really isn't just a draft pick year for next year. Malpractice put Jaden out there with no O-line and now less weapons. Shout out to Morelos is a really good one. Here's a name to keep an eye on. Eric Izukanma. Really fast, dude. I liked him coming out of the draft. Where is he at? Was he at NC State or Texas Tech? I can't remember. But fast, dude. He was banged up last year. He had some injuries. They said he's literally the fastest guy on the team, which is crazy. They have freaking Tyreek Hill. They say he's even faster than Tyreek Hill, which I don't know if I believe. But he's had a really good camp. He's had good preseason. I was watching him during our preseason game. I'm like, man, this would be a good guy. Might not make the team because he's one of those, like I said, has some injuries. Could be one of those like young guys that just needs a new spot to go to. They've got a loaded wide receiver room. You know, Craycraft, obviously Waddle there too. They got some studs in that wide receiver room. But Arizukama would be a great pickup. I'd be really excited about that one. Josh Castle said, Lamb from Dallas. That is not happening. I hate to say it. I wish it would. But Jerry would instantly die the second that trade would even be talked about. And Franco said, yeah, Cole Turner is on the team, which I don't even know if he makes the team. But it's somewhat depressing. But I don't know, man. This is what I'm looking forward to. 8/27 roster cut to final 53. The next day, 8/28, final cut waivers expire at 4 p.m. Eastern time. 8/28, practice squads are built. And then 9/3, full salary cap compliancy. And then opening night, 9/5. And then you have the trade deadline, November 5th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. That's pretty much the windows I'm looking at. From now to Tuesday, or on Tuesday when all these cuts, and we'll start seeing cuts early. You'll see a good bit of these roster cuts start happening on like Monday. But I'm going to do a longer wide receiver video. But let me give you all a list of some guys that I've been kind of putting together that are some roster cut candidates that could be, some prime pickup guys at wide receiver and hell, maybe even some other positions as well. I've mentioned a couple of them. I have it on here on my phone. D. Eskridge from the Seahawks is a guy that's been talked about. Sky Moore, like I said, smaller speed guy from the Chiefs. Kadarius Toney, please stay as far away from Kadarius Toney as possible. Terrace Marshall Jr., former LSU wide receiver on the Panthers. Would love to see that happen. Another deep threat guy that I think he had a pretty good rookie season, but like last year. But once again, I'm not really putting too much of that on him because, God, that team's so bad. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some other wide receivers I had here. Yeah, Terrace Marshall's actually one that would get me pretty hype. Zach Pascal, he's more of a slot guy. He's on the Cardinals. Tylan Wallace for the Ravens. Valdez Scantling, I think he just got hurt, so we're not gonna put him on there. For the Bills, David Bell from the Browns. That was a guy I liked coming out of college. Really good hands coming out of Purdue. Tim Patrick for the Broncos. I'm still going Cortland Sutton. Like I'm calling them on him ASAP. Robert Woods from the Texans. I could kind of see that being a good fit as well. They said Trey Flowers corner from the Jaguars. I wouldn't mind that. We still need some corner help. Tyler Johnson. I liked him at Minnesota. He's on the Rams right now. N'Keal Harry. No. Juju Smith-Schuster. No. There's no way Allen Lazard doesn't make the Jets squad. So I'm calling BS on that one. Allen Lazard's making squad. But if not, yeah, he's had a really good camp. And then Traylon Burks is a name that keeps coming up as well a lot. I don't know how I feel about Traylon Burks, man. He does not excite me at all. Like, once again, I don't know why they traded Jahan. But if it was like skill-wise, and if it was like, oh, he didn't really fit, what they wanted to do, if he just didn't fit, Cliff's philosophy, and they want a different style, is that why they got Martavis Bryant? Because he's big as fuck now. Like, he's like literally a tight end out there. He did cause that fumble, which was clutch in the preseason game, kind of saved that. Shout out to Richard Motley. Hit that smash button. Wow. Smash that like button, y'all. It's been a long day. I'm stressing about this, y'all, if you can tell. Appreciate you, Richard. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. If anything else breaks, y'all know I will go live unless I'm watching some scouting tape. But I definitely will go live and talk about it. But there's definitely some options. I just don't believe that we're done yet. So buckle up. I think there's some stuff left. Pat Ellis said Broncos said they ain't trading Sutton. Hey, you still got to call. They can't say no if you don't call. So I'm at least checking in on it. But I don't see why they would want to, because they feel good about Knicks. They feel good about that quarterback room now compared to how it was last year. So I don't see a reason why they would trade him. But I'm still looking at some of these like roster cut guys. There's still some guys that can make an impact. But man. Like, how do you trade Jahan? And I mean, I get it. Like, you get a return on it. You get good draft capital on it. But he still had 2 years left. Was it 2 or 3 years? I can't remember if he signed a 4-year deal. Yeah. He still had 2 more years left, this year and next year. It's just, and wide receiver was already a need with Jahan. Like, it was already a need with him on the team. Now it's even bigger. And like I said, Diami is, definitely looks the best he has on this team. I don't know if that's a Jaden Daniels thing. I don't know if it's a Cliff thing. And same with Luke. Luke's gotten a lot better too. Olamide Zaccheaus has had a really good camp. That was a guy that impressed the heck out of me when I was back in Ashburn for training camp. Like Olamide, shout out, I'm going to call him the Wizard of Oz, the OZ. Olamide Zaccheaus, Virginia guy, went to UVA. I didn't know what to expect out of him. But he actually was probably one of the most impressive guys. Like for what I was expecting at training camp, he impressed me the more like out of anybody. Or like Frankie Luvu. Oh my God, Frankie Luvu was all over the field. But still, even with those guys emerging, like Diami outside, Luke in the slot, and then Olamide Zaccheaus, he can play in the slot and he can play outside too. That still worries me. And I trust Adam Peters with my life. I trust Adam Peters with my draft picks. I trust Adam Peters with my team. But I'm ready for that next move. I know y'all are excited about it. Appreciate y'all coming on the live, chopping it up, always getting y'all's input and comments. Love hearing what y'all have to say. And, y'all know I love Jahan, man. I loved Jahan, and I got so much shit the last week or two about Jahan, and I still think he's a great football player. I don't think this has anything to do with talent. I'm telling y'all, something just wasn't right. Whether it was his attitude, whether if it was the fit, whatever it was, I'm telling y'all, Jahan is still good at football. And I'm going to stand by that until I just, see if he doesn't do anything for the rest of his career. I'm like, all right, whatever. It just didn't work out. But I'm really intrigued to see who else they add. Because just remember this. Dan Quinn said he's waiting for that wide receiver 2 to emerge. He's waiting for that competition. They're still in the mix. So even though Diami's looked good, even though Luke McCaffrey has looked good, he's still waiting, or he's still figuring out the wide receiver 2 spot. Like, to me, it just says like they want more. They are still wanting to add pieces. And I know he said this before the Jahan thing. And it's been, a few days. Like he said, like right before the Dolphins game. But man, I don't think they're done. And there's a little bit of smoke. I'm not going to say a lot of smoke. There's a little bit of smoke that Washington could trade for a wide receiver. Brandon Aiyuk, Devontae Adams, Cortland Sutton. Bring me one of those 3 and I'll be excited. Terrace Marshall, Sky Moore, I don't know, Traylon Burks, and I'll be like, okay. I think Terrace Marshall would be the one I get the most excited about. Sky Moore wouldn't really do too much for me. But Adam, if you get one of those 3 guys, I would be ecstatic. I know y'all want Brandon Aiyuk. I do too. He hasn't been reporting to the facility for the last few days. Tizzy Banks said running the ball and the tight ends will be featured more than years past with Terry and Diami. With Alamine and Luke, we'll be fine for now. And another thing, don't rule this out. We saw it already a couple times in the preseason game. Austin Eckler lined up at wide receiver. We saw it in that deep pass that Jaden checked to Diami. And then you go back and, watch the video I did on the Jaden, looking at Jaden against the Dolphins. Austin Eckler's out there a lot. And if you watch that deep throw that Jaden had to Diami, Austin Eckler had that linebacker in hell that route. And it was just a straight go route. And that linebacker could not keep up with him. I do agree with you. We're going to have a lot of 12 personnel. A lot of 1 running back, 2 tight ends, even a lot of 22. 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, and spreading things out. It would not surprise me at all if Austin Eckler's lined up, 3 wide receiver sets, and he's one of them. It would not surprise me at all. I'm expecting that. I think Brian Robinson and them kind of said this without saying it. But B-Rob is like running back 1. He is the running back. He is the premier running back. Austin Eckler is going to be that change of pace guy that can run the ball, can do these screens and make big plays out of them. He can line up in the slot. He can line up, do angle routes. He can do, drag routes, check and release routes, out routes, whatever, Texas routes, anything like that. And he can make a big impact. I have big expectations for Austin Eckler. But I'm telling you, he can line up at wide receiver and he can scoot and catch some passes. That's what he likes to do. The Chargers were doing that with him a lot last year. He's like, look, I don't know, this offense, they just refused to run the ball. They were just way too pass heavy. It's not going to be like that for him at all. He's actually going to run the ball as well this year too, but it's going to be a great mix up for him. He can do both. He can show what he can do on the ground, catching the ball as well. I think he makes a big impact. So I like that you brought up the tight ends because you're going to see, I'm telling you, I got big expectations for Ertz too. I think Ertz has a big year too if he can stay healthy. Of course, my boy Ben got that jersey hung up right over here next to me. He ain't going nowhere, so I'm good on that. I'm expecting big things out of both those guys, and then you could also have 2 running backs on the field at the same time as well. So maybe but I don't know because Cliff in the past has done a lot of 4 wide receiver, 5 wide receiver sets, hell, even like 6 sometimes. Like, you just throw them all out there. No, I'm just kidding. He hasn't done 6. But 5 wide receiver sets, like, that's what he did with the Cardinals. So I don't know. Maybe he's just like, look, we're going to put 2 tight ends every play. Y'all just got to guess what we about to do, and we're going to mix it up. I do hate that we traded to a division rival. Trust me. Justin said, who's the favorite wide receiver on the team not named Terry? Well, damn, it was Jahan, man. It was Jahan. Man, that's tough. Favorite wide receiver. Y'all, I love my boy Mitch Tinsley. I hope he makes the team again this year too. So I gotta go Mitch. Mitch is my guy, man. I'm telling you, I think Mitch could be like, I think he could be good too. I think he fits what Cliff wants to do too, especially when he was at Western Kentucky. Mitch Tinsley on Western Kentucky was crazy, yo. Go watch the tape and go watch their offense, and then go watch how our offenses looked so far, and you're gonna be like, holy smokes. Western Kentucky was an air raid offense. There's a lot of similarities between Western Kentucky and what we're going to do this year. Do I think EB ruined Jahan? Yes. That boy was running for his life. Like, I'm telling you, man, it's not just me. People who watch tape, people who evaluate wide receivers, Matt Harmon, Reception Perception, one of the best wide receiver gurus out there, still today is pounding the table for Jahan Dotson. Like, bro, go watch the tape. Him and Sam Howell were never on the right page. He literally had one post. It was like him and Sam Howell. There's no way they had the same playbook. Jahan was running routes and he was open a lot last year, and he never got the ball. Never got the ball. People say like, oh, he drops everything. His rookie year, he had 3 drops. Last year, he had 4 with like 26 more targets or something like that. Now, people are going to say, oh, the drops came at big moments. Yes, but he also had some big catches. The last play of the game against the Eagles that sent it to overtime, that was Jahan. Like, y'all remember that Jaguars game? I was sitting in that end zone where he, first off, he has a touchdown across the middle. Great touchdown. But that, like, around the defender falling to the ground catch, he's good at football. I think EB was the worst thing that could have happened to this team offensively. Like, EB plus Sam Howell holding the ball forever, and our offensive line sucked. We had people saying on Twitter that Terry was washed. That's how bad our offense was. People were saying, oh, Terry can't play no more. Yes, he can. Are you kidding me? Like, our offense was god awful last year. I honestly think it did not help him at all. Jahan having Eric Bieniemy here last year in that offense was like the worst thing that could have happened to him. And if you're not like Terry, then you just, last year was like going through fucking like Vietnam, like just PTSD. You got Sam running for his life and then just chucking passes up, holding on the ball, not getting rid of it. Like, I don't know if they just hated Jahan, like EB just had something against Jahan, but dude, I'm telling you, like, he was open. He runs great routes. We didn't trade him because he sucks. I promise you that. There's something else there. He had a great rookie season, even with Scott Turner, offensive coordinator. KDB said we're cooked unless we get Aiyuk or a top wide receiver. Yeah, man, there's no way they roll with these guys. There's no way they're just like, hey, we feel really good about this. I think they're going to still be aggressive. I don't want to call this a wash year at all. I just don't. It doesn't make sense. Why would this year be a wash year? Why would you go out and get Austin Eckler? Why would you go out and get Zach Ertz? Why would you go out and get Bobby Wagner? There's no way this is a wash year. Bobby Wagner, this is probably his last year. And, Austin Eckler, like, shout out to him, man. He was on the Pivot. That was a great episode, too. When the Pivot guys came to training camp and they talked to Austin and Zach Ertz, he said, I didn't come here just to, like, help build a team. Like, I'm not a coach. I'm a player. I came here to win games. Like, and this is, like, all of their, like, thoughts. Like, we don't care what happened last year. We're not here to, like, clean up a mess. Like, fuck that. We are here to win games. We're here to build something different. That's what this team is. So I'm not ready to call this like some kind of like washed year or we're just talking about draft picks again. That is not the case at all. And that's why I think Adam Peters is going to keep making some moves. Because you're trying to win games this year. You're trying to go to the playoffs this year. They don't want to finish top 10. They don't want to finish like top 15 like in the draft. They want one of them late first round picks. They want to be a playoff team. You do not make all these signings. And I know they got some young rising guys. They made a really good draft class. But what would be the point of getting Austin Eckler and Ertz and Bobby Wagner if you're just like, well, we're just going to build next year and have fun. We're just going to go out there and play football. And this is going to take 2 or 3 years, guys. No, that is not what you do. Roll Tide, Brent. Roll Tide. We wintered it all. Jalen Milroe is going to win the Heisman. Kalen DeBoer, 2024. Merle says this move says they're a heavy run first offense. Think Ravens. Ooh, I don't know about that much. The Ravens be running it. I think that we will be a quick passing offense. I think we will run it a good bit. We're gonna be like kind of like a run and shoot offense, kind of like what Coastal runs, in my opinion. I think we will run the ball a lot, but I don't see us being like the Ravens style. That's a lot. The Ravens, they live and die by, especially with Lamar and now they have Derrick Henry. So God, yeah, they're definitely gonna want to run the ball. But I think this is going to be more so a quick passing, just up tempo. Think like 2013 Auburn with Hugh Freeze. Or no, it's Gus Malzahn. Yeah, Gus Malzahn in 2013. Hated him. Like up tempo, just draining a defense. They are tired the entire game. They're going sideline to sideline, trying to cover these east and west passes. And then you got these deep passes across the middle because you open up the field with the run game, with the sideline to sideline throws, with those outside passes. Now the middle of the field is just stretched out. You got your open zones. You got your mismatches and man because they're exhausted. So I think it's going to be a fun, quick passing offense, like a spread in a way. So that's what I'm saying, kind of like a run and shoot, where it's like, hey, we're going to run the ball at you. We're going to be a physical run game with B-Rob. And I saw some good blocking. I didn't see it the first game, but the Dolphins, I finally saw some good run blocking. I saw some really good pull crosses. I saw, Nick Allegretti looked good in those pulls. I saw Ben blocking. We saw Bates blocking. Cole Turner's had some big blocks. That's the things that Dan Quinn's been talking about. If you're not getting the ball, I want to see you with hands on somebody, making a play down the field, blocking somebody, contributing in some way. And then when you do get the ball in your hands, you're making plays. So I finally, the Jets game, I saw a little bit. The Jalen run obviously was good. Cole Turner had a great block on the outside. But I was kind of worried about some of the other like run blocking I saw. It wasn't the best. But the Dolphins game, it actually did open up. It did look a lot better. Our offensive line depth still worries me. But I feel better about our starting offensive line than I did before. Because I think that's another reason why we will be a quick passing team. You don't want to get sacks, then you don't have the ball in your hand after 2.5 seconds, in my opinion. If Jaden has the ball in his hand after 3 seconds from taking the snap, that's way too much. 2.5, 2.75 is like the max. 2 is the sweet spot. I want to say the lowest last year in the NFL was like right at like 2, maybe like 205, something like that. You got to be aiming for like 215. I know it's silly to talk about these little teeny numbers and details, but it adds up to a lot. Quick passes, and then it sets up those deep balls with great pass protection, great, pass blocking by B-Rob, Austin Eckler. Those are both guys that can do great pass protection. But I don't think they're going to run the ball like a lot, like the Ravens. But I do think they want to run the ball. They definitely want to run the ball. And think about James Conner when Cliff was there. Like James Conner was eating in Arizona. And then you had Kyler Murray. Like I think we'll see a lot of that blueprint come over here. What would be considered a wash year? I see us Going 7-10, that's not a wash here. No, not at all. Now, obviously, 7-10 sucks. As a fan, you want to go 8 wins, at least 9 wins. Hell, 10 wins would be fantastic. I think floor, because I think this defense is going to be good. I'm still worried about the corners, but outside of that, I feel good about the defense. Like, man, I feel good about the D-line. I feel really good about the linebackers. I feel really good about the safeties. And I feel really good about Mikey Samerson. I'm not going to put him in the corners. Mikey's his own he's like an 8-year vet already. I'm putting Mikey in his own category. But I think floor, I want to say 6. Ceiling, I want to say 10, which feels like a lot. But I feel like if things click, if we aren't struggling at corner, if the defense is getting stops, the defense is getting turnovers, and Jaden is just lighting it up, I could see 10. If I had to pick a number today, I'd say 8 and 9. If you gave me $100 and you told me to put it on a record, I'd say 8 and 9. Finish third in the NFC East. I think the Cowboys will have 10 wins. I think the Giants have like 5. I think we go 8 and 9. If I had to pick today, it would be 8 and 9. Now, if we get Aiyuk or somebody, I'm definitely changing it to 9 and 8, or 10 and 7, or if we get Cortland Sutton or Devontae Adams, yeah, I'm changing it. But right now, 8 and 9 is where I'm standing. What's going on? Tutty Cam 101 says, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late. It's all good. I want to say that you didn't miss much, but you actually missed a lot. So go back and watch it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you are just now popping in. Think we got rid of this bump. Maybe people turn that third rounder into gold. Hopefully that gold is Brandon Aiyuk. This wide receiver core needs McCaffrey to be a solid starter, or it's a wash this year." I definitely agree with you that McCaffrey has to be a big time contributor, or we're like, dang, this wide receiver room is rough. Tyler says 9, 10 could happen. What would you do for Aiyuk? How many draft picks, and would you give up a current roster player? No, but I mean, they did come out and say that they want a wide receiver. Like, would they want Luke McCaffrey with his brother? I don't know. But if I'm the 49ers, and the reason why they want another player is because they know, like, they are a Super Bowl team. Why would we get rid of Aiyuk? Why would we put ourselves out of Super Bowl contention? Makes no sense. Why would they do that? So it's got to be really good picks. Like, I would do a second this in 2025, and I would do a 2026 third. I would do that for Aiyuk, especially after this trade. So if you trade your second next year, you got another third. You can always package those 2 thirds and move up into the second or whatever. So I'm not worried about that. And like I said, I'm not too crazy about the wide receiver draft class this year coming up. It could get better. There's like 4 guys that I really, really like. And then outside of that, it's like some, you hope they could be wide receiver 2 kind of guys, but who knows? We'll see a lot this season, obviously, with college football. It's going to be exciting. Scouting everything full time finally. But just take what you like. Just take the guy that you know is going to produce, because he's already done it. He's done it on a Super Bowl caliber team. He's been like the guy on that offense in the receiving game. So I would easily give up a second next year and a 2026 third. Space it out. I mean, asking for both next year is a little greedy for the 49ers. And then we would pay Aiyuk like 30 a year. And once again, I'm fine with that because John Allen already got his big contract. Deron Payne already got his big contract. Terry already got his big contract. Jaden's on a rookie deal. Who else do you have to give money to? Nobody. So put it towards a good wide receiver. And Brandon Aiyuk probably turns into wide receiver 1. Him and Terry, it's close. So really, if you think about what you're investing in, it's potentially your new wide receiver 1. Or we'll say wide receiver 1A, and Terry's wide receiver 1B. I don't think I could ever call Terry wide receiver 2. But it's worth trading those picks for him. Absolutely. I hope I'm wrong, but Witt is giving me EB vibes. No way, man. I think we're like, what he says sounds great, but what actually happens is two different things. Probably just my PTSD. Absolutely. PTSD. Trust me, I got it too. Like, I would run through a wall for Witt. But we've seen it. Like, we've seen what he did in Dallas. So that's what I'm excited for. And I think him and Quinn, coming over together, it's different. We always heard that EB like really wasn't the guy, but they just kind of wanted people to think he was the guy. But it was more so always Reed. And then we just kind of talked to ourselves into like, oh, that's not true. It's EB. He's the guy. He was in control of the offense in Kansas City. He's gonna be the next big thing. We talked ourselves into it. Myself included. I contributed to that. But I feel different about Witt. I feel like Witt and Dan both. Like, people hated that Dan Quinn hiring so much. People hated it so much. And I've seen a lot of people finally coming around to it. Like, oh, we wanted Brian, man. God, we did not want him. We wanted Mike McDonald. And I was one of them. But I didn't hate the Dan Quinn hiring because I understood it. Like, everyone, like, I remember I was at the Senior Bowl when it happened. Like, everyone I talked to was like, dude, people love Dan Quinn. Like, I was talking to like Jeremy Fowler. I was talking to, I'm not gonna put everybody's name out there, but a lot of ESPN guys and insiders. They're like, Washington, that was always their choice. They wanted Dan Quinn the most. They think they hit a home run. He was the number one choice. People are talking about Mike McDonald. They're talking about what's his face from the Lions. I don't erase his name from my memory. Brian Johnson, whatever the fuck his name is. I've blocked him out of my mind. But they're like, they didn't really want all these guys. Anthony Weaver. They wanted Dan Quinn the whole time. So I'm still like all in on Quinn. I'm still all in on Adam Peters, obviously. I'm all in on Witt. And I'm all in on Cliff. We got the whole season to really see what they do and evaluate how things go. Honestly, I think Cliff was like the one guy people were like, no, thank you. Like, the most. People are like, why Cliff? He's not good. Look what he did with the Cardinals. How did he get a job here? He wasn't even the offensive coordinator at USC. He's like a quarterback coach thing. Why was he the guy? And I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong too. There's even those corny fantasy football and now analysts that are just like, oh my God, Cliff, Terry was out left every single snap in the preseason and Cliff is doing these quick passes. Like, Jaden's going to suck. Like, I hate them more and more every day. We haven't even played football yet, bro. We haven't even kicked off week 1 yet. We got these fantasy nerds talking about, oh my God, Terry's lined up left every single snap. He's going to be like blah, blah. No, I don't care, bro. I do not care. I'm not like saying anything about any player, any coach until like the middle of the season at least, except Forbes. Forbes is on like fraud watch. But I feel good about everything we have still. But adding another wide receiver would be great. Maybe if we're doing well at the deadlines and suppose a team like Bengals aren't, we trade for T. Higgins. Who knows? There's going to be like those players that they could lose in free agency, but like they might as well get something out of it. And like you said, like T. Higgins, he's in the same like situation as Aiyuk, but Aiyuk is like a year behind T. Higgins. Like, this isn't even Ayuk's like tag season yet. Like, they could not trade Aiyuk and they can still like tag him next season. Like, they picked up his 5th year out. Like, they don't have to trade him. They could have him for 2 more full seasons. Now, T. Higgins, this is his last year unless he gets another big contract. This is his franchise tag year. I think T. Higgins would be great here, but once again, I don't think T really wants to leave. He just wants to put pressure on them and say, like, hey, I want a deal done. Jamar Chase wants a deal done. He hasn't gotten one yet. Like, so maybe that could be a sticky situation. I think that's what the holdup is. Like, Jamar Chase wants his deal done early. He still has plenty of time, just like Aiyuk. Him and Aiyuk are in the same situation. And I just don't think T would be a guy that comes here. But he's super young. Like, I would love T. Higgins. And I don't see CeeDee Lamb. I think Cortland Sutton, and Aiyuk and Devontae Adams would be like the top 3. I don't care if you even get Adams for a year, bro. You do it. Devontae is a GOAT, man. Devontae Adams is the GOAT. I love me some Tay Adams, man. That boy's a beast. That boy can catch anything. I think they want a big X wide receiver 1, which would really allow Terry to thrive on the other side. I agree. I think they do want that, like, dominant guy. And Brandon Aiyuk could be that guy. Tay could be that guy. And I think Corley could be that guy. James said, I would love to get Aiyuk now. I think Peter's got something up his sleeve. It feels like he's not done yet. Absolutely agree with you. Let's see. Ideal free agency pickup, man. I'm trying to think realistic, because obviously, like, the dream scenario would be like CD or T. I'm trying to think who's a free agent coming up as a wide receiver. So that's another thing too, is like the good ones, they're getting paid. And that's why Aiyuk wants a new deal. And that's why Jamar Chase and T. Higgins want a new deal. Like, the good ones are getting paid. Amon-Ra St. Brown got paid. Justin Jefferson got paid. I got to look at the free agents for next year. I haven't even looked at it really. I think this O-line is the elephant in the room. They are trash. This won't go well. I think it's better. And I think, like I said, with Cliff, I think he's really going to cover up those weaknesses in the offensive line by getting the ball out quick, by running the ball, these east-west plays to where, you're not really worried too much about blocking for over, 3 seconds. I think Cliff is going to help out the offensive line a ton with his play style. A ton. Agreed. I don't think it makes sense for them to trade Aiyuk. They're playing for Super Bowl right now. Exactly. Like, there's no pressure on them to trade him. Like, what are you trying to sit out? You're just not going to play the whole season? That's on you. Like, and that hurts you. So good luck with that. I hope they call Seahawks about DK. Yeah, that would be great. Give him a call. Oh, yeah, Coop's a free agent, too. Hey, bring me my boy Coop. He's one of the best route runners in a long time. He's the best route runner in the NFL since Antonio Brown. And Antonio Brown is like a top 5 all-time route runner. That boy's ridiculous. But Coop, he's up there. And y'all think I'm lying. Watch these tapes and these videos when these college kids are coming into the draft. People are like, hey, who's the wide receivers you watch, like, your routes and stuff from? And they're like, Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper got the filthiest routes ever. Disgusting routes. Of course, they say, like, Justin Jefferson, because, how he goes up and gets it. And, his body control is crazy. And Devontae Adams is a great rounded runner. He does everything good. But wide receivers love them some Coop. That boy be running routes like Doug Baldwin. Doug Baldwin's another great route runner. Oh, my God. Doug Baldwin, Antonio Brown, and Amari Cooper. Probably like 3 of my favorite route runners, like, all time. I mean, just like they was just levitating. Everybody else was running it through mud, and them boys was just levitating on ice, like just sliding through the field. Hey, Jerry Jeudy was a nasty dude in college too. That boy could run some routes. But yeah, Coop, and the Browns did Coop dirty by coming out and saying, like, yeah, he was included in that trade for Brandon Aiyuk, by the way. He came out and said, fine by me, like, get me the fuck out of here. He didn't say that, but he put up on his Instagram, he said, fine by me, like, I don't mind. Get me out of this cold, dirty ass Cleveland team. Like, I think Cleveland's gonna be good this year too. Pending Deshaun Watson. I like the Browns. Shout out to the Browns. But yeah, Coop want to come over here and play his last, 3 seasons or whatever in the NFL with us. That would be fine by me. Get Coop to Washington. I told y'all, like, no, I don't. And now I guarantee you, Now the guys that told me no for Coop, I promise you they're saying, yeah, go get them. That's another trade deadline guy. Glad you brought him up, Tyler. Todd said, hey, Josh, I hope we can get Aiyuk. Combine him with Terry and Tiami. We can be the posse like in the early 90s with Art Monk, Ricky Sanders, and Gary Clark. And by the way, Art Monk looks like he could still run some routes. I met him at the mall in Virginia. What was it, like 4 years ago? That dude looked exactly like he did in the 90s, man. And I'm like, dang, Art, like him and Gary Clark, we need y'all out there running some routes. But that would be nasty. Terry and Aiyuk would be a heck of a duo. That would be the best duo we have had since, God, I want to say like Garcon and Deshaun. Man, I mean that's they're better. That's even better. Like that would be the best wide receiver duo we've had probably since the posse, in my opinion, for sure. Hunter Renfrow is out there. Personally, I have an agenda against Hunter Renfrow because of that illegal pick play in the national championship game to beat Alabama. Should not have been a touchdown. But aside from that, I don't know what he's got left in the tank. But he kind of reminds me of like Jahan. Like he doesn't play through physical contact. He's like a slottish guy. He's a slant guy. Like Hunter Renfrow doesn't excite me. Sorry, Poop Shoot McGee. Nice name. Hunter Renfrow just doesn't excite me at all. I'd be like, okay, it's like Martavis Bryant. I didn't get up and start clapping when we signed Bryant. I was like, oh shit, okay. I didn't even know that boy was still trying to play football. He hasn't played in the game since 2018 until that Dolphins game. That's nuts, by the way. Like, shout out to him. That's crazy. Did not play a game since 2018. That boy played a preseason game last week in 2024, y'all. That's crazy. Shout out to Martavis Bryant. He was a dog on the Steelers. But I appreciate y'all hopping on the live. I think we're going to end it right here. But if anything else happens, y'all know I'll hop back on here as soon as possible or the night of. So if anything happens tomorrow, like tomorrow night, I'll hop back on here and do another live. But I appreciate y'all stopping by, giving your thoughts, comments. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Got a lot of really good things cooking up this year, especially being full-time on football, scouting for SIS. I'll be doing mostly college, watching some NFL games. I told them if any Washington Commander games came up, go ahead and throw me some of them so I can watch my squad, go in depth. I'll be doing a lot more breakdown videos showing y'all things that I've been, learning so far through scouting school. And there's a lot more that we're about to do a scouting school next month. I'll be doing a lot of draft breakdowns and stuff, posting it right to the SIS website. We actually just signed a deal with the Big Ten. Exciting. So my data and all the stuff that I do for work for like the Big Ten teams will go straight to the Big Ten network. We've got a lot of NFL clients, the 49ers, the Cowboys I know are one. I don't know if Washington is. I need to ask about that. Not sure why I haven't already. And we do a lot of college teams too. Like a lot. I think we just did a lot of stuff for ESPN as well. Stay tuned. Got a lot of good things coming up. Probably gonna be the biggest year. Oh God. All I see is breaking news, Jordan Schultz, and I see a giant C, and it's just the Chiefs and Creed Humphrey come to a extension agreement. Look at that picture, by the way, bro. You want to talk about peak male athleticism? Creed Humphrey, like, is the guy. Like, I thought I had a mullet, but damn, Creed. He got that shit on. That is mullet goals. But we are officially on wide receiver watch. Hell, just trade watch, honestly. But shout out to Peters for being willing to make the crazy ones. Make the trades. Make a trade for a kicker because we saw Riley sucked. Really hope Cade works out. Still iffy on that one. We'll see. Maybe he just needed to change the scenery too. He started really good, and then he got really bad. But we are on trade watch. So if anything happens, turn those notifications on if you haven't already. Follow me on social media at Josh Taylor FB. If you haven't already, I don't know why the hell you're here watching this and you don't follow me on social media. That's where most of my stuff is. So appreciate y'all. Have a good one. All preseason just started as a reminder. Gators games tonight. What? Tyler making my night. I didn't even know it was preseason football. I was about to just watch a boring ass show for the rest of the night till I fall asleep early because I'm old. Who plays tonight? Oh, Colts Bengals are playing right now. Bears Chiefs 7:20 Central Time, 8:20. So literally in like 4 minutes. So yeah, shoot, I might watch Bears and Chiefs. But we play the Patriots Sunday, I think. Yeah, Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Obviously, I'm in Texas. I'm Central Time. I'll be doing a Bleacher Report stream for that one. I think I'm on scouting duty for Florida State, Georgia Tech for that game. My first scouting game of the season. Super stoked, and it's a good one. So y'all go watch some preseason. Hop off of here. I ain't gonna keep y'all anymore, but I appreciate y'all. Have a good one. Todd Creed is a dog. I would love him here. Darnell Mooney. Maybe we'll see. I don't even know if he's playing right now with the Bears. I'll see y'all week 1 in Tampa too. If you're not coming, if you are coming to Tampa, let me know. We'll meet up. I got some tailgates. I've been talking to my boy Chris, Hog Farmer Chris, seeing what tailgates are to go to out there in Tampa. So let me know if y'all are coming. Go watch AR5 play real quick, his one drive before they call it. I'll be at that game. Can't wait. Let me know how it is. First technical home game for Jaden Daniels, even though it's a preseason game. And I doubt he'll play. But according to Dan Quinn, last thing I'll say on the stream, we should find out tomorrow who all's playing for the preseason game. So I don't know. I don't see Jaden Daniels playing. That's my prediction. And obviously, they're going to ask him a ton about Jahan Dotson. So we'll see. But appreciate y'all coming by. And I'll see y'all next time here on the stream. Hit that subscribe button and like as well. Let's go, Commanders. I guess. We'll see. Adam Peters, go get Brandon Aiyuk, please. Good night, y'all. Peace.